The Best Nest. Now, this is a good bedtime story read to you by Pappy
and Grandma.
Woohoo! Mr. Bird was happy. He was so happy he had to sing. This was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house. I love my nest. In all of the world, my nest is the best.
Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. It's not the best nest, she said. I'm tired of this old place, said Mrs. Bird. I don't like it. Let's look for a new place right now.
Okay. So, they left the old place and they went to look for a new place. This place looks nice, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. But somebody else was already in there. Get out of my house! Get out of my house! So, they looked at another house. This one looks really nice, said Mr. Bird, and there's nobody in there. It was an old shoe.
You're wrong, said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot.
And it stinks in here. P.U. So, they went looking for another house, and Mr. Bird said, I like this one. It's pretty with a red flag on the roof.
I've always wanted a house with a flag, said Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right.
But it was not all right. I guess we made a mistake because it was a mailbox, and there's all kinds of mail in there. Give me a birthday card! Give me a birthday card!
You made too many mistakes, said Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick the next house. And here it is, right here.
Looks like Pappy's church. They flew in. They looked around. Isn't it too big? Asked Mr. Bird.
I like this big place, said Mrs. Bird. This is a place to build our new nest.
Okie dokie. They went right to work. I mean, they worked really hard. They needed so many things to build their nest. First, they got the hay. Ooh, big hay. And then they got some stocking string. Look at the stocking off my big toe. And then some mattress stuffing. Look at the mattress stuffing. Then they got some horse hair. And then they got some man's hair. Hey, I'm going bald here. Well, soon they had all the hay, all the straw, all the string, all the stuffing, all the horse hair, all the man hair they could carry, and they took it all the way back to their nest so that they could build it in the church big old bell house. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very, very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish that nest.
This nest is really the best, said Mrs. Bird. I want to stay here forever.
I love it! And there they are singing the song. Ha ha! I love my new house. I love my new house. I love my new house! Now, Mr. Bird was very happy, too. He flew to the top of that house, and he sang this song again. I love our new house. I love our new nest. In all of the world, our nest is the best. He was so busy singing, he didn't even see Mr. Parker coming across the parking lot.
Uh-oh.
Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church, and Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. This rope went up to the bird's new nest. I wonder what's going to happen here. He pulled that rope as hard as he could. The rope rang the big bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Bong, bong, bong. Well, Mr. Bird got out of there, and as fast as he could fly, Mrs. Bird flew right away. Bong, bong, bong. Well, Mr. Bird came in, and all he could see was a mess of the hay and the string and the stuffing and the horsehair and the man hair and the straw. Where's Mrs. Bird at? Grandma, where's Mrs. Bird? Where? I will look for her until I find her, Mr. Bird said. He looked high. He looked low. He looked everywhere that Mrs. Bird could go. But he couldn't find her. He's looking everywhere. Where? Oh, where's Mrs. Bird at? He looked down the chimney, but Mrs. Bird wasn't down that chimney. Oh no, where could she be? I'm so afraid. And then he looked down into the water barrel. But Mrs. Bird wasn't in that water barrel. I could see a big old horse mouth.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, get ready. Then he saw a big fat cat. And there was a big fat smile on that big cat's face. And there were some pretty brown feathers near that big fat cat's mouth. Oh, Mr. Bird began to cry. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I hope that big fat cat didn't eat Mrs. Bird. Please. Oh, please, no. Well, Mr. Bird flew off. I'll never see Mrs. Bird again. It's getting dark now. It's starting to rain. And it rained harder and harder and harder. So hard we couldn't even play out in the rain. It was raining so hard. And then Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. And he kept flying faster and faster. And he still couldn't see where he was going. And boom! He crashed into something. And Mr. Bird bumped into something. And he smacked his old beak in his head. Oh, it was his old house. That old house that Mrs. Bird hated. But he was tired. He said, I'm going to go inside. It's raining so hard, I'm going to rest here until the rain stops. No. Mr. Bird went in, and there was Mrs. Bird singing there, sitting there. And I wonder what she was singing, Grandma.
I love my house, I love my nest. In all the little world, my nest is the best.
Oh, she sang so pretty, and she was so happy. You're here? Gasped Mr. Bird. I thought you hated this old nest. Well, I wonder what she's thinking now.
Mrs. Bird smiled. I used to hate it, she said, but a mother bird can change her mind, you see. And there's no nest like an old nest for a brand new bird.
And when the egg popped open, the new bird thought, hey, I love this new house. I'm glad to be home. Now this is a great bedtime story from Pappy and
Grandma.
Sleep tight and enjoy your dreams.
We love you.
Tweet, 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 tweet.